we're just continuing following the story in Genesis that both of the brothers just gave us a little review of 2 weeks ago. We weren't here last week. And there's actually something that happens between what happened 2 weeks ago, what we talked about 2 weeks ago, and where we come to today. So what happened, as they mentioned, is that Jacob basically kind of he was pretty crafty, and he got the birthright from his older brother Esau. And so I'm sure in retrospect after the event, Esau, he wasn't a happy, he realized what happened, and on the one hand it was Esau's fault, on the other hand it was Jacob's being, he had the bowl of soup ready when Esau came home, so it wasn't an accident. It was pre-planned. And now something else happens in this story between where we come to today and what happened then, and that is that it wasn't good enough for Jacob just to get the birthright. He wanted what's also called the blessing. And so right before Genesis 28, he basically lies to his dad, Isaac, deceives his dad, and pretends like he is his brother Esau, and goes in there, wears skins. His dad gets fooled because his dad can't see that well, and ends up blessing Jacob when he thought he was blessing Esau. All right, and Esau then shortly thereafter comes and realizes what happened. Jacob basically totally deceived his dad, and Esau is not a happy camper. So okay, so that brings us to today, to Genesis 28. So we can look at our sheets here. And again, we're going to read through the story, but our goal is not just to understand what happens in the story, but it's to see the significance behind and underneath the story, and to see how it really applies to us. All right, so in Genesis 28, it says, "And Jacob went out from Beersheba and went toward Haran. And he came to a certain place and spent the night there, because the sun had set." So what's happening is Esau was aggravated or angry to the point where Jacob he had to leave. He had to get out of the house. I think Esau had threatened to kill him. Yeah, he did. In Genesis 27, Rebekah told Isaac, he said to Jacob, "Now your brother Esau is consoling himself concerning you by planning to kill you." All right, it's quite a family. But so Jacob's basically forced out of the house. He has to leave. I mean, he doesn't want to get killed, and that's where we come to. Probably Jacob is in a situation similar to many of us, where it's his first time. He's away from home. He's without his parents. He's by himself. He's just not in a place where he's necessarily so familiar with. But it's very, very interesting, at the very time when he's kind of unsettled and not sure where he's going, what he's going to do, his future is kind of up in the air, he gets this very, very important dream. And that's really what we want to see today. All right, so continue with the reading there. It says, "He took one of the stones of the place and put it under his head, and he lay down in that place." Very interesting. He slept on a stone. All right, he took a stone for his pillow, and he dreamed. All right, this is a famous dream. There's a song about this. Many people are familiar with this story. And he dreamed. What did he see? There was a ladder set up on the earth, and its top reached to heaven, and there the angels of God were ascending and descending on it. There's a ladder, all right, again, stretching from the earth to the heavens, the angels of God ascending and descending. And then it says, "And there was Jehovah standing above it. He said, I am Jehovah, the God of Abraham, your father, the God of Isaac, and the God of Isaac." All right, remember our title, it's the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Again, 3 weeks ago we saw Abraham, an extraordinary person. Isaac, just an ordinary person. Jacob was an evil, conniving person. But nevertheless, God is the God of all kinds of persons. The God of Abraham is kind of related to God the Father. God of Isaac is related to the Son. The God of Jacob, as we'll see, is related to God the Spirit. So there's a lot of connections being made here. But God appears to Jacob in this dream with a ladder, and he starts talking to him. All right, what would you, if you were God, and there was this guy who just deceived his dad, caused a lot of trouble in the family. His brother wants to murder him. He has to leave town, and now you're God, and you're going to say something to him. What would you say? Probably none of us would have said what God actually said here. I think we would have probably rebuked him, or said, "Hey, what comes around goes around. You deceive your dad, your brother, you're gonna get yourself in trouble." But here's what he said. He said, "I am Jehovah, the God of Abraham your father, and the God of Isaac. The land on which you lie, I will give to you and to your seed." All right. Hopefully this sounds familiar. This was the same thing that God spoke to Abraham. "And your seed will be as the dust of the earth. You will spread abroad to the west and to the east and to the north and to the south. And in you and in your seed, all the families of the earth will be blessed." It's a very strong speaking, especially to someone coming out of something that terrible, or just a bad set of circumstances that was his own fault. Nevertheless, God comes to him and speaks this very strong word. "I'm going to give you this land. I will bless your seed. They will spread in all four directions. And in you and in your seed, all the families of the earth will be blessed." All right, this is just mind-boggling why God would do this to this evil guy. Then, continuing on, it says, "And behold, I am with you." This is good. If we find ourselves in Jacob's shoes, and we will, and I think we have many times, God still, He underscores this promise. "Behold, I am with you, and will keep you wherever you go, and will cause you to return to this land. For I will not leave you." This is good. "I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised you." Right? I will not leave you. Then, let me just finish the story. "Jacob awoke from his sleep and said, 'Surely Jehovah is in this place, and I did not know it.' And he was afraid and said, 'How awesome is this place!'" And now this is, if you're going to underline a sentence, or if you want to underline something on your paper, this is the sentence to underline. "This is none other than the house of God, and this is the gate of heaven." The house of God and the gate of heaven. And then Jacob rose up early in the morning, took the stone that he put under his head, and set it up as a pillar, poured oil on top of it, and he called the name of that place Bethel. Right? And Bethel means the house of God. Right? It's just it's a very peculiar, very almost random story about Jacob's dream. And what was the main thing that he saw in his dream? One word. All right, he saw a ladder, right? And what's the significance of the ladder? Okay, let's look at the next verse, John 1:51, and let's read this all together. All right, let's read it out loud. John 1:51. "And he said to him,
'Truly, truly, I say to you, you shall see heaven open, and the angels of God ascending and descending on the Son of Man.'"
All right, let me just back up a little bit. If you look at the verses right before this in John chapter 1, there's this guy named Nathaniel, and Nathaniel asked this question to Jesus. He says, "How do you know me?" Jesus answered and said to him, "Before Philip called you, while you were under the fig tree, I saw you."